First thing we'll be going over today, like I mentioned, is data retention and privacy settings in FuseDesk. So one of the things that's really interesting is you've probably seen some of the different things out there in terms of how to manage data for your business or how to have a data policy in terms of data retention for your business, meaning how long do you keep certain kinds of data? You're probably familiar with the paper records of the past in terms of what the government or your business or your industry requires that you keep in terms of paper records and how you manage those paper records in terms of what's locked away, what various things are accessible and to who, and when you destroy data that you no longer need. So in FuseDesk, we've actually rolled out some really powerful settings that let you do all this and more. So our new data retention settings in FuseDesk supports your business's privacy policy, whatever that policy might be, for how long you keep data and what you do with it after certain timeframes. This means we now support automatic archival, anonymization, and deletion of certain key data. Specifically, we're referring to FuseDesk cases, chats, reps like your team members, contacts, and email records. Now, one thing to keep in mind is this is for your FuseDesk data only. So if you have this data syncing back over to your CRM, like Infusionsoft, ActiveCampaign, et cetera, you'll need to manage that data within your CRM. We're talking about data that FuseDesk is managing for you on your behalf. The FuseDesk data retention settings are specifically configurable for our FuseDesk Pro and our FuseDesk Enterprise plans. And this is now live in your app. If you go into your settings, we'll be showing you what that means and how to manage that. So to get to your data privacy and retention settings, you simply go to Settings in FuseDesk and choose Privacy, and you'll find your privacy and data retention settings. You're presented with the 5 different data objects we talked about, from cases, chats, reps, contacts, and emails. And you have your configurable sliders that you can use to adjust when to archive, anonymize, or delete data. So what does that actually mean? Well, let's talk about that. Across those different categories, the first one is archival. So when we go ahead and archive an object, and specifically cases and chats can be archived, it means that the object will now only be viewable by admins and it will be read only. So you can think, for example, maybe you want to configure it that after 12 months, a case is archived. Nothing new can be added to the case. And if there's anything more to happen, you'll need a new case. And that way your team and your customers aren't working with really old cases. And same thing with chats. However, it's still maintained there, so your admins or whoever might need to dig into it can go ahead and view that case or chat. So when you're accessing an archived object as an admin, like a chat or a case, you'll see a notice up top here that this case has been archived, and that archived cases can be viewed but not changed. Additionally, you'll notice that some of the action tabs are gone. So what this means is you'll no longer be able to add additional cases to no more emails or notes, no more CRM automations. You can't transfer the case, change anything. It's in a read-only mode. You can still view the case tags on the case, and you can still view any feedback that might have come in on that case, and you'll still have the full case history and everything else. You just can't edit or change it. It's read-only. So that's what an archived case or chat looks like inside of FuseDesk. Now, the next step beyond that is anonymization. So for anonymizing objects, what this means is chats, cases, and reps can be anonymized. Now, any fields with personally identifiable information, for example, name, email address, etc., are anonymized. So we actually go ahead and scrub out that data if it's a specific field, like a name field, an email field, etc., that has PII. Now, in terms of any user-generated content, for example, the body of an email, the body of a note that you, your team, or your customer adds to a case, any of those sort of user-generated free-form text fields, those are going to be scrubbed using a best effort anonymization. Meaning what we do is we look and say, is there an email address in here? Is there a significant string of numbers that might be like a phone number or something like that? We'll go ahead and scrub those out. If there's anything more complex beyond that, for example, a street address or a phone number written out in a non-standard way that doesn't look like a phone number, or any other information that doesn't really fit the email address or numbers, that data might still be in there in the body of an email or in the note on a case. If it's important to you, your business, that that information is removed, then you may not want to use anonymization. You might want to skip straight to deletion, and we'll get to that in just a moment. So what does an anonymized object look like? Well, in your queues or in the view for that object, you're going to see a similar notice here that this case or this chat has been anonymized. And then notice that it can be viewed but not changed. We'll have the icon for you that this is anonymized over here. The contact is removed from that case. So we now show that this is an anonymized case, so you don't know whose case this is. And again, we scrub out the rest of the information that might have some PII there. And so you're left with an anonymized view of that case or that chat or that rep. All right. So in your case queues, archived and anonymized cases still have that little icon over here, either of the file box or the archival or the little anonymized mystery person here. That way you can know, for example, that a certain case or a chat or a rep is anonymized before going into that. Now, you can still view again, the case tags on there and the sort of scrubbed history. And why this is really valuable is if in your business, you want to still be able to track some metrics. For example, looking at your case trends over time, or how many cases have a certain case tag, or you want to keep track of the fact that you had a return request for a certain physical part number or a product from your e-commerce store. You can now still have that history of those returns and that data. You just won't know who it was and the contact information, but you still have the anonymized case or anonymized chat in your history. This is beneficial for your team, for example, if you're looking to do some research and look back to all the cases around a certain return or something else, or you have some business requirements for why you need to keep that data. So that's what anonymized objects look like. The next thing we want to talk about is the last step, which is deletion. All right, so when you're looking at a deleted object, what that means is, for example, cases, chats, and reps can be deleted. And that means the data is actually gone, like hard deleted, not just anonymized, but actually purged and gone from the system entirely. So when we have a deleted object, there's sort of two categories. One are your cases, chats, and reps that can be hard deleted. Optionally, you may turn that on. And lastly, are emails and contacts, which when they're deleted, for example, when you trash or ignore an email, or you choose to delete a contact, those are soft deleted for a period of time and then automatically hard deleted. And so your data retention settings let you configure when to go ahead and hard delete that. And you just get to choose a range of when to do it. And based on your plan, you have different thresholds for how long to retain and keep the deleted contacts and emails. So your data retention settings, again, this allows you to support your business model and your particular business's privacy policy. You can configure automatic archival, anonymization, and deletion. This supports your cases, chats, reps, contacts, and emails. And this is, again, for FuseDesk only, not your CRM. You'll want to configure your data retention settings in your CRM for any data that we store in your CRM for you. And this is configurable if you have a Pro or Enterprise plan with us.